Hi everyone. I have graded your strategic planning papers and provided feedback in the rubric. If this assignment felt unusually difficult, it's because it is. Being asked to go into the literature, gather relevant topic writings, and then bring it back, read it, synthesize it, and then not just provide a summary, but then tell me what is similar and what is not similar in the author's work is pretty complex. Being able to do that with a concise writing style is even more difficult. So if this was difficult for you, know that the assignment is challenging. Go back in and read the feedback that's provided. As I suspected when I spoke with you or sent a video last week, many students struggle with understanding how to effectively compare and contrast. So go back in and take a look at the feedback that's been provided to you. The other thing that I think was really interesting was bringing the idea of planning in general into context. So often we forget that one of the reasons that nurses make such good executives, such good leaders, is that we have the perfect framework from our own nursing practice. Not to throw any of you out into ice cold water and bring back bad memories, but if you do recall in your undergraduate nursing program, you learned ADPI, the assessment, the planning, the implementation, the evaluation steps of providing good, effective, safe patient care. So because we are ingrained in our process of going through a planning and implementation and evaluation process, we're really good at strategic planning, and that makes us really good, effective leaders. We like the details. So I think this topic lends itself to us naturally. One of your classmates did a really nice job of bringing in the biblical worldview into what it means to be an effective nurse educator who plans well. Your classmate Amanda wrote, not only does the literature convey the importance of strategic planning in a personal practice, but so does the Bible. Even though the Bible teaches Christians in Matthew chapter 6 verse 34 to not worry about the future because each day has enough trouble of its own, does not mean that Christian healthcare leaders should not utilize strategic planning in everyday practice. Luke actually records a teaching from Jesus saying, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Luke chapter 14, verse 23 is where you'll find that. It is vital for a Christian leader to pray, not only to see Christ's viewpoint on what the idea should be, but it also gives us his viewpoint on how to reach the idea in a godly manner. Using strategic planning as a Christian leader not only provides each leader with the opportunity to seek out Christ's guidance in each step, but provides opportunity for growth and improvement that not only provides benefit for the organization, but also provides the highest quality of care to those in need. I think Amanda did a really nice job of reminding us that when we are building a plan, when we are building a bridge that we intend to walk over, if we are building it solidly in Christ's vision, in the vision that is Christian-centered, even in a secular world, we can still behave in a Christ-like manner. We can plan that way too. We can keep our mind's eye and our Christian hope on what is really best for an organization and what would honor God when we're implementing plans. So I appreciate Amanda's perspective in that. From an APA standpoint, I want to remind you that in graduate level writing that you should be avoiding direct quotes. I think I may have said this a week or so ago. Synthesize what you're reading. Very rarely are you going to put a direct quote in a professional paper. And when you do, it's going to be because there's no better way to reword it. And that's a zebra, not a horse. So just be very careful with that. Remember that in your reference list that you need to put a DOI or the URL in where you will find the article that you're referencing. It is not acceptable to put URLs instead of DOIs if one is available. Your first obligation is to make sure that you have looked for the DOI in a scholarly way, that you used, there's a search engine that's under your additional resources. It's called Crossref. Sometimes that will bring up the DOI for you. But either way, make sure there isn't a DOI before you give the URL. just want to remind you that when you're doing a URL, you're going to, if you copied and pasted a URL from the Jerry Falwell Library and you printed it or you pasted it into a paper, you're going to find, I know that many of you know this, that it's going to be 5, 6, 7 lines long. I want you to back up that URL to the search engine so that it works out to be about 1.5 lines long, but it still should be hyperlinked. So if I clicked on it, it would take me to the correct database where I can then further search for the article that you've provided. So remember that we need to maintain the integrity with that. I want to talk for just a few minutes about the importance of scholarly support in your paper. In each section of your paper, unless it is entirely a reflective exercise, you need to have some kind of scholarly support in each section. If you were publishing a paper, the expectation would be that you would have a citation of some sort per paragraph. That's a little tedious for master's prepared work, and I don't expect that your work is going to need to be published. But if you've written an entire section and you've not properly cited a scholarly source to support your ideas, you're not really writing at the graduate level. It's great to include what you think, what you experience, what your background is, but it is just as important that you back up those thoughts and those beliefs with scholarly evidence that your thinking is on track and professional and in context of what you're discussing. So make sure that when you're done writing your paper, you go back in and not just proofread, but edit for scholarly support. So make sure you're doing that. When you prepare to do your annotated bibliography, which is going to be due next week, you should be using the same approach of thinking, how do I locate scholarly sources and properly reference them and cite them? In your annotated bibliography, you've got to put in 10 to 15 article references, and these should be scholarly in source. So they should be peer reviewed, they should be 5 years old or younger, and they should be actual research articles that are related to your topic. They should not be commentaries or editorials or opinions. Those are often written by single authors, often don't have a DOI, appear in the beginning or an end of a journal, and don't have research associated with it. There's a context that you would use editorials and commentaries, and that's called a Delphi study. That's not what we're doing here, so you want to avoid those things. You want to avoid websites. Because they're going to not have as much rigor as articles that have research in a paper. Occasionally it's okay to use a scholarly website like some of the .govs, some of the research websites like Leapfrog, quality websites like those would be okay, but not for this assignment. 10 to 15 articles that are evidence-based, that are research-oriented, that are peer-reviewed and new, all need to be included with a 50-word summary. I want to remind you that this is short and concise. Just tell me what it's about, give me a brief summary of how it relates to your topic, and move on. You're not writing a paper, so be sure that you're following that format. You do have another brief paper about innovation and power. Folks, this is a 2 to 3 page paper. It should have a reference, maybe 1 or 2 in there, but this is really a perspectives paper about power. Actually, according to your rubric, it has to have 3 to 5 scholarly sources. I'd err on the side of 3. Don't get too tangled up with that paper. It's just an idea to get your ideas moving in how power influences healthcare. So I do want you to be thoughtful about it, but spend the lion's share of your time this week really working on your annotated bibliography. The annotated bibliography is going to be the framework for your final paper. So if you do it well now, you'll have the tough stuff done and you'll be able to start writing early. I think that's all I have. I hope you guys are having a great week wherever you are. I'm in Roanoke, Virginia, and I think it was about 67 degrees today, sunny and beautiful. Everybody's allergies are completely messed up because we do not know what season it is. But if you live in Virginia, you know if you wait 24 hours, you'll have a new season. So we're looking forward to a little bit of a break from the cold weather here. I hope wherever you are that you're doing well, that you're enjoying your week, and that everything's going well for you. If you have any questions or concerns about the feedback that's been provided to you in this assignment, please know that I'm here. I'm happy to discuss it either through email or over the telephone to make sure you're heading in the right direction in future assignments. I hope you guys have a great week. Take care.